Let's go, champ. It's the champ, Shannon the Cannon Briggs, and you're watching True School Sports. Let's go, champ.
It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is my official post-fight review for Joyce versus Joseph Parker, and Joyce gets Parker out of there in the 11th round, the first man to ever stop Joseph Parker, and that's no small achievement. You know, anybody who's watched Joseph Parker over the years knows that he's been in there with some killers, some punchers. We all know that Joseph Parker has a granite chin. He's got a big reputation in boxing for that. So to be the first guy that stopped him, especially this version of Joyce, or Joseph Parker, I should say, I really think at this moment in time, and y'all can agree or disagree with me, but I truthfully believe, you know, you could have Fury 1 or Usyk 2 or Usyk 1 and Fury 2. They're interchangeable. But after that, I think the third best heavyweight in the world is Joyce. I think Joyce, in my humble opinion, Joyce has solidified his spot to me as the third best heavyweight currently going in boxing. And that's the truth. 15-0, 14 knockouts. The only guy that's been able to go the distance with him was the crafty warrior from Philadelphia, Brian Jennings, who fought a really, really good fight against Joyce. Very underrated performance, but other than that, everyone's been starched. Everyone's been stopped. Dubois, Taco, Joseph Parker, Stavern, Oleksandr Usyk, Christian Hammer. You know, anybody who's been in there with Joyce has been stopped, and for good reason. Now, as far as the fight's concerned, you know, I want to really just give a tip of the cap to Joseph Parker, because this is a guy that in his career, whether it be against Joshua or whether it be against Dillian White, I always feel like he's never really boxed a complete performance. He's always had a lot to be desired. And to me, this fight, I know it sounds funny because it's the first time he's ever been stopped, but I truthfully believe that this fight was his best performance. Like, I can't say a bad word about him. The unfortunate part was he had his best performance against a guy that every time you hit Joyce, he comes back with more ferocity. Elite stamina, elite chin, just the willingness to always want to go in there and fight you and beat you up. That's why his song says they don't want to war with the big juggernaut, because he's a 6'6", 270+ pound juggernaut with elite stamina, elite fortitude. You know, just the elite chin in the ring. You know, all of a sudden, you take those things and you add what Ismail Salas is doing with him. You know, Salas, as you can see if you're really paying attention, he's kind of improving the balance and the fluidity of Joyce, the defense of Joyce. He's a lot harder to hit now than he was, let's say, when he fought Brian Jennings. So, like it or hate it, Joyce is the real deal. The juggernaut is the real deal. And, you know, I've said this many times. You know, I had a chance to watch Joyce train at the Salas Boxing Academy on one occasion. And he's literally the British George Foreman. Like, I don't know what George Foreman was like in person, but I would assume it would be something like Joyce, because, I mean, you just don't get an idea for how violent this man's punches are until you're up close in person. Because he's going to throw you a lot of punches with bad intentions, and it's going to be at a high warp rate, a high output. You know, and to deal with that, you got to be a hell of a man. So credit to Joseph Parker for getting him to the 11th round. I thought Parker had some success with the left. I think he had a lot of good success with the left hook, the overhand right. He ran Joyce into a couple uppercuts. I would have liked to see Joseph Parker, I should say, throw more left hooks, because I feel like Joyce was open on that side. At the end of the 10th round, he had a really good spell where he threw like a double, or it might have even been a triple left hook that landed on Joyce, and it really was probably the best moment of the fight for him, for me. But he fought a really good fight. He moved around the ring. I thought he conserved his energy pretty well. He was able to hit Joyce with a lot of eye-catching, hard, effective shots. But Joyce has a granite chin. You know, he's one of them guys that when you punch him, it doesn't really seem to move him. But then when he punches you, every punch he seems to throw moves you. Even his jab, there were a couple instances where Joyce started working that piston-like jab, one of the best jabs in boxing, all upside Joseph Parker's forehead, and he literally pushed Joseph Parker halfway across the ring, like literally halfway across the ring. So, you know, not only is he getting better with time at the age of 37 in 15 fights, But Joyce is looking like a dangerous problem for any heavyweight in the division. I never knew this before. I saw this on Twitter, but with Joyce winning this fight, he's now Usyk's WBO mandatory because he picked up the WBO interim title. So he is Usyk's mandatory challenger in the WBO. And apparently back in like last year, they try to offer Joyce a 93-7 split. His manager, Oleksandr Usyk, says that they demanded 93% of the purse, which is an absolute ridiculous offer for a fight. So Usyk made the most ridiculous demands and kind of got a little bit diva-like with Joyce, and I can't blame him. I don't care how good of a boxer you are. I don't care how well you move around the ring. I don't care how good you can pivot. There's just something to be said about a guy with a high output of a really good, hard, strong jab, who is big, tall, wide, great stamina, hard puncher, and fighting guys like Joyce are almost worse than fighting the guys like Deontay Wilder, because at least with a guy like Deontay Wilder, you get hit by one punch and it's it. With Joyce, you get the crap beat out of you from more and more as the rounds go on, into slow, steady, methodical beating, and that's what Joseph Parker took. So I don't know what the future holds for Joseph Parker. If he's going to continue to box, then I'm obviously a fan of his. I think tonight in this loss, for me, he really has to give him respect, because he fought a more consistent fight in one of his bigger fights, which has always been my gripe with him. He showed the ability when things got hot in there to have the fortitude to continue, and it really took a special, hard, precise, well-placed left hook to get him out of there, and he still almost beat the count. So he fought and he rumbled until he couldn't rumble no more, and that's what you ask for as a fight fan when you talk about fighters, especially when you talk about high-level fighters in the heavyweight division. So my tip of the cap goes to Joseph Parker for helping giving us a great fight. And for Joyce, look, to me, in my eyes, he's solidified himself as the clear-cut, not even close, number 3 best heavyweight in the world. I want to see him get his shot at one of the top 2 guys sooner rather than later, because he's really developing into a great heavyweight. He's come such a long way from the guy in the Brian Jennings fight. The defense is a lot. He's not ever going to be Pernell Whitaker or Usyk in there. Defensively, it's never going to look pretty. But just the little subtle movements of the head, the pairing, the things that in the gym that him and Ismail Salas have been working on, and the House of Fundamentals are starting to pay off. You're not really seeing Joyce fall off balance with too many punches. You're seeing the jab and the right hand and the left hooks and the combinations come out more fluid. And he is a very dangerous heavyweight for anybody in the world. I mean, such a devastating fighter, such a fun fighter to watch, and this is why you got to give fighters time to develop. And he went in there tonight, and he really made a statement performance against Joseph Parker. In my opinion, the best version of Joseph Parker that's ever existed was tonight, because this was a Joseph Parker that, hadn't, he was coming in on a winning streak. Parker hadn't lost since he lost. He hadn't lost for 4 years. He had, I think Andy Lee made some good adjustments to his style and his game plan. I think Andy Lee kind of tapped more into like the hand speed of Joseph Parker, and emphasized Joseph Parker really finishing strong at the end of rounds, and you saw that a lot in this fight. And despite all that, despite a better Joseph Parker, Joyce showed that when his opponents raise their level of quality, he can raise his level of quality, and he delivered us a statement performance. So yeah, you can only run and hide but for so long, because the juggernaut is coming. So Usyk, put on your big boy pants on, get your panties out of the bunch, and fight the juggernaut. Tyson Fury, I know you were there ringside. Tyson Fury was ringside. Joyce is coming, and that's gonna be a very hard problem for you and anybody else in this heavyweight division. So yeah, that's my my little review on the fight. Shout out to both fighters for putting on a great fight for the fans. Joseph Parker, again, I want to really give an extra tip of the cap to him, because I've covered his career here for a long time here on True School Sports, and I've sat here very disappointed at the big fights, because I feel like he didn't really give all he could have given on the night. But in this fight, I really feel like he gave all he could have gave, and it's okay, he fell short, but he really, in this fight, I think fought the best performance of his career. It's just that Joyce was a little bit better than him on the night, and there's no shame in that. God bless him, and may he enjoy his time off with his family. And for Joyce, you know, it's getting time to answer the call. You know, he's ready. He's got the amateur experience, got the pedigree, he's got the 15 fights under his belt now. Only one man, which is a guy that was a smaller heavyweight, in Brian Jennings, has went the distance with Joyce. So there's something to be said about that. But leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you could love me or you could hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.
And I think True School Sports, he's the truth. One of the best the best.
Ooh, the number one.
Number one.
Brandon, you've been there, man, and you're building up a good following with us.
Thank you.
And I'm proud to be a part of what you're doing too. You are spectacular, and
You know,
Thank you, man. All the best to True School Boxing and keep up the good work.